This week's show has been made possible with the continued support of Alpha Affiliates, where webmasters can earn up to 50% rev share.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another rain-soaked edition of APCW Perspectives. On our last show, we spoke about online gambling news from all around the world, except for the United Kingdom, because I was filming early for Thanksgiving here in America. And because I knew that there would be plenty to discuss after the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves announced the new taxes on our industry. We all knew they were coming, and that's exactly what she did. Of course, taxes went up on other vice industries in the UK as well. The alcohol duty will rise in February. The tobacco duty will rise about 2% next year. And the online gambling duty, well, that damn near doubled from 21% to 40%. That only seems fair. Why not double our taxes? Political stooges like Ms. Reeves have no issue taking other people's money and spending other people's money so long as it doesn't directly affect her. Usually they do this under the guise of protecting people from themselves, all while seemingly oblivious to the harm and consequences of their own actions. You know, politicians. Several British bookmakers warned that if this tax hike went through, that there would be employee layoffs and that there would be the closing of betting shops, which the BBC chose to report as scaremongering. And we all know how honest and reliable the BBC is, right? But now that the tax hike has happened, we'll see who's telling the truth and who's full of shit. In fact, William Hill and 888 have already announced that they will be cutting thousands of jobs and closing shops. Flutter and Entain have warned of massive drops in earnings over the coming years, affecting stockholders and their families. And other operators as far away as Gibraltar are saying they will have to reduce their investment in the UK market and cut back on things like marketing efforts. Translation? Operators will begin investing millions and millions of pounds outside of the British Isles, and affiliates may face a more difficult challenge ahead from things like quotas, increased fees, and reduced commissions. And all of this because Ms. Reeves was too lazy to do her job and make the tax hikes fair, and too stupid to realize the consequences of her own actions. You know, a politician. Don't go away, because this is not over, and we're going to pick up conversation about more goings on in the UK after the break. As the rain seemingly picks up its pace, I suppose I should pick up my pace as well. We begin the second half of our show with even more good news from the United Kingdom, and I do not think it's a coincidence that right after the tax hike was announced, the UK Gambling Commission had an announcement all their own. Apparently, they have secured an additional £26 million to fight illegal offshore gambling. And my friends, that's a hell of a lot of money for something that's such an overstated threat. This is a 900% increase in funding just to fight the black market. And that clearly demonstrates that, once again, Andy Rhodes is clueless and completely out of touch with reality. And speaking of Mr. Rhodes, the commission almost didn't get that 26 million pounds after authorities there ran his credit report. But at the last minute, Andy's mom agreed to co-sign for him and save the day. Also, you may recall the numerous times over the years that I have plainly stated that other gambling regulators in other jurisdictions tend to blindly follow the actions of the UK, like lemmings right off the cliff. So, I was not that surprised when less than a week after the British doubled the tax on gambling there, Brazil finally made the decision to raise their gambling taxes too. Still not convinced? Well, how about the chief executive of the Swedish horse racing monopoly who just said that his country should follow the UK's courageous tax reform? Courageous! So, if you're wondering where the really good weed is, I would try an IKEA. Of course, if you get your weed at an IKEA, you'll have to assemble the blunt yourself. In conclusion, we have Rachel Reeves on one side, who worked as a banker and then consistently voted against our industry, and now she's in charge of taxing us. On the other side, we have Andy Rhodes, who has a degree in history and no gambling experience whatsoever before they put him in charge of the UKGC, and now he regulates our industry. This is who we're caught between. It's like giving a loaded gun to a couple of monkeys in a cage. You know they shouldn't have it. You know something bad is going to happen eventually. And my friends, I think the chimps just pulled the trigger. I say, let the industry lie there and bleed out. Because the only way we're gonna get assholes like these two out of their positions is if we fundamentally rebuild the industry from the bottom up. I'm gonna go. I have one more show to do next week for Christmas, and then I'm done for the year. So I hope to see you all there, God willing.